This meeting of the Redistricting Commission will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes, one moment. Jonathan Bruns. Linka Wright.
Present.
BJ Fatum. Sylvia Alvarez. Freddie Sidbury.
Here.
Andrew Ditlevson.
Present.
Ramon Martinez. Anadina Cardenas.
Here.
Gloria Collins.
Here.
You have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you. Tonight, we will also be holding a public hearing on draft maps, and we do have some information for the public regarding interpretation services that will be available throughout this meeting. Can the clerk please play the video on interpretation services?
Hold on just a second. I accidentally closed the presentation. And I forgot to click share sound.
A esta reunión. Para acceder a la función de interpretación, haga clic en el icono del globo en la parte inferior de la ventana de Zoom y selecciona el idioma que desea. Para escuchar claramente el audio de interpretación, le recomendamos que también seleccione la opción para silenciar el audio original, que es la opción más baja en el menú después de hacer clic en el icono del globo.
Xin chào và cảm ơn quý vị đã tham dự buổi họp ngày hôm nay. Để truy cập vào phần thông dịch của ứng dụng Zoom, xin nhấn vào biểu tượng hình quả địa cầu ở phía dưới của màn hình và chọn ngôn ngữ theo ý muốn của quý vị. Để nghe rõ lời phiên dịch, chúng tôi khuyến khích quý vị chọn chức năng tắt âm thanh gốc nằm ở phía cuối trong phần tùy chọn của biểu tượng quả địa cầu.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, is there a motion to approve the orders of the day?
I can make the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Wright. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Dittleson. Can the clerk call the roll?
Jonathan Bruns. Linka Wright.
Yes.
BJ Fatum. Sylvia Alvarez.
Yes.
Freddie Sidbury.
Yes.
Andrew Ditlevson.
Yes.
Ramon Martinez. Anadina Cardenas.
Yes.
Gloria Collins.
Yes.
That motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2, public record. There's no public record, so we'll move on to item 3, consent calendar. This is the consent calendar to approve the minutes of our September 16th meeting. Clerk, do we have any members of the public who would like to address the consent calendar?
Yes, we have Jeffrey Buchanan.
Members of the commission, hi, I'm Jeffrey Buchanan with Working Partnerships USA. One comment in the last meeting, certainly there was a presentation around the city's use of the districtr.org website. Just would like to note, my assumption was that in the future files, including draft maps, would be included in a format that would be usable on that website. Certainly, we're seeing that the draft maps that were posted late, a couple hours ago, were posted in a different third-party kind of. It was in an HTML format using another kind of file. So, just would encourage the commission to be able to, in the future, make the draft maps available in a format that works for those who may want to look at the draft maps in District R or in other formats, perhaps like a CSV file. So those who want to look at these things in greater detail can do so without having to draw out all the vagaries of the lines in each of these maps. So just encourage you to think about what kind of files we're posting and going forward.
Hey, you just knocked it.
Back to the chair.
Okay, thank you. Would any members of the commission like to pull this item for discussion? I don't see any hands. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Jonathan Bruns, Lenka Wright,
Yes.
BJ Fadum, Sylvia Alvarez,
Yes.
Freddie Sidbury,
Yes.
Andrew Ditlipson,
Yes.
Ramon Martinez, and Adina Cardenas,
Yes.
Gloria Collins.
Yes.
That motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. We're moving on to item 4, reports and information. Would the clerk have a report for us today?
No, I have nothing to report.
Okay. Would redistricting like to have a report today, or is it just the presentation regarding the draft maps?
Just the presentation regarding the draft maps.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 5, public hearing. Tonight, we will be holding a public hearing on draft maps that have been drawn up based on the new census data, as well as information on communities of interest submissions we have received so far. So I'll now turn it over to Kimmy of Redistricting Partners to present. Welcome, Kimmy.
Thank you. So just checking that everybody can see my screen. Okay. So this evening we are going to be going over the draft maps and the timeline. Obviously, the city has until January 2022 to pass the final district plans. There was communities of interest that had in-person and submitted testimonials. And so those we tend to sort of group these at sort of a higher level instead of listing every single comment. So the themes tended to be around keeping Penitencia in District 4, Delmas Park and Downtown West being in the same district, keeping the Filipino American community together, keeping downtown San Jose together, and keeping Berryessa together. So these next pieces are submissions that were provided on District R. Some of them are communities of interest, and then some of them start drawing districts a little bit later down the road. So again, this is the Penitencia Neighborhood Association, which was one of the themes of the feedback. Berryessa neighborhoods as well. Roosevelt Park. There were about 16 of these. I'm just going to go through them and then you all have the presentation if you want to look at them a little bit more. This one for District 4 was actually, we received this one twice. I think that they were different drawings. And then this one was a little bit more detailed in their description. And it's really keeping sort of that St. Leo's and Midtown area together in that this is when they go into some detail around reasons why. This is again, District 4, Collins. This is a separate submission. And these are the current lines as they stand now. And so this is your current census data. And as I'm sure you all are aware from many presentations, there is a significant deviation within the current district lines that do require new maps and or at least adjustments to be made. The total deviation that we're looking for in general is 17.1%. And the current deviation right now is higher than that. We're looking at about 24.2% as a total deviation currently. So the process that we're looking at now is going to be reviewing draft maps this evening. And really the goal of this process is to get as much feedback from the commission around what you see in maps, the draft maps that we're presenting that you like and that you think should move forward, or items that you dislike and that you think should be excluded from the next round of plans. So each of these plans will have an overview page accompanied by data tables and then individual districts. So we can go as quickly or as slowly as you'd like to. I do have web viewer HTML links ready if people have questions that they want to see at street level for district lines or any of those pieces. So this is draft plan A. Sorry, my notes keep disappearing on me. One of the pushes between plan A and plan B was that the eastern seats within the city all are really kind of defined by the need to have citizen voting age population majority seats of either Latino or Asian populations. So the balance of the neighborhoods within Plan A and Plan B are built on neighborhoods and then also on the community of interest testimony. Plan A, which is this plan here, areas A, B, C, and F are largely the Asian Pacific Islander population. And then area D will be the Latino population. You will notice that the areas are lettered as opposed to being numbered. And it's really because the numbers tend to belong more when to the city council members. And so we try and sort of use letters to make it slightly less, a little more, it's a little easier, I think. So this is the demographics for Plan A. The total deviation will come in under 10%. And Plan A, the deviation is actually at 9.5%. So this is District A in the draft Plan A. It does look a little bit like the District 4 Collins ones that were presented. District B, again, a largely majority Asian CVAP population here. District C is another API CVAP community. District D, which is the Latino majority community. District E, F, which is another Asian Pacific Islander community, and then G, H, and I, and then District J, which is, I think, fairly similar to the current district. Draft Plan B, so areas in this map draft, areas C, D, G, and H are the majority Asian Pacific Islander districts. Area District E, which is sort of sandwiched in the middle, is the majority Latino district for this plan. This total plan deviation for Plan B is 8.6%. And then we can roll through the districts. Oh, I'm sorry, I went a little too fast there. So District C, or Plan C, I'm sorry, has an 8.5% deviation, and this is really what we sort of refer to as a minimal change plan. So it's based on the current lines. The eastern seats also are looking at the 50% or more CVAP. So on this plan, areas A, B, and D are majority API, and then C in this one is Latino, which is really actually pretty similar to Draft Plan B.
What is E?
And then we're kind of rolling through. So those are the three draft plans, and I understand it's a lot to take in, sort of going through the PowerPoint so quickly. I'm happy to revisit any of them. We can drill down on the web viewer as well if you have questions about street areas. Really what we tried to do is to keep as many neighborhoods whole as possible. It's not always possible when we're drawing the lines. And so if there are neighborhoods that were split that should be kept whole for any reason, then we can go back and revise these draft lines. So these are not set in stone. They're merely sort of meant to be a launching point to sort of get some direction from folks. All of the draft plans will be placed on the website. They're already in the Legistar in your agenda on the website. We do welcome public comment and any input from the community. The community survey form is still up there. District R is definitely still live and working. And so you could also, so anybody that wanted to submit will still be collecting that testimony, the community of interest testimony, and any draft maps that people would like to submit. And we can certainly incorporate that into any changes.
Okay, why don't we open it up to questions from the commission, and while I wait for hands to be raised. I have a couple of questions, Kimmy, and maybe it's just my lack of understanding the data, but when we had the presentation last week, I was under the impression that the only big changes in population were going to come from districts 4 and 10. And so these maps to me are like very, very different from our current district map. So I guess maybe I just don't understand how these maps were drawn, what was taken into account.
Sure, so the maps took into account the community of interest testimony that was received and the need to be able to draw several majority minority districts, primarily on the sort of the western end of the city, the northwestern end of the city rather. So the community of interest testimony played into the drawing of the maps, as well as the district R maps that were put in. And then in terms of having sort of a minimal change map, I think that Plan C is sort of the most minimal change. It just made adjustments for population as much as possible.
And then the need to draw more diverse areas on the east side of the city, is that a directive coming from City Council?
It's part of the requirement. If we have districts that are 50% or more, it is a requirement under the Federal Voting Rights Act that we look at those districts to see if we can keep them whole. I will defer to your counsel on any other legal issues around the Federal Voting Rights Act, but that's typically the goal.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Wright?
Thank you. I'm a little at a loss for words. I'm going to be pretty blunt because we only received these maps a few hours ago, and I'm sure other commissioners were kind of scrambling to take a look at them. And it doesn't seem to necessarily reflect the direction that we gave at our last meeting. And also, I did want to call out with the sample maps A, B, and C, that it's also very difficult to follow because different letters are used on the maps for similar areas. So that doesn't make it easier for us as commissioners, and I'm sure not for the public, to be able to compare map to map. So those are my comments for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Collins?
Yes, hi. I have some questions, Kimmy, specifically regarding District 4. That's the district with the largest population. And I know that if we're going to have a change, it's going to be District 4. It's kind of in the hot seat. And I'm in trying to read the maps. Again, my broken record is I don't see some street names. I wanted to ask you if the Penitentiary Creek area that is on one of the COIs, is that in the, did that in any of your plans? I studied this, all these maps, and I can't tell if it remained in our current District 4 or is pushed into District 5. And also if Berryessa as a whole is in district, it looks like it might be split between 4 and 5, the Berryessa area, which the community specifically did not want that. So can you clarify the boundaries first for me, please?
Sure. Is there a particular draft plan? I can pull up the web viewer if that's helpful.
Yeah, well, one is the PNA one, which was a COI. And one was a October 4, District 4 that I had drawn up on October 4th. If you want to see those two.
On District R?
Yeah, on District R. Yeah, they're posted. They're,
okay.
You went through them.
So, okay. So did you, I'm sorry, I just need some clarity. Did you want to look at the draft plans to see what was split, or were you interested in looking at the community of interest maps on District R?
I wanted to see where they're split. I wanted to see in these proposals, and I know we have 3, where does Mayberry North White Penitentiary fit in the proposed plan, and also Berryessa as a whole?
Okay.
Where did they land?
Sure. So this is Plan C, which is sort of the minimal change plan. And Berryessa is here. Sorry, I'm trying to zoom in a little bit more. This does allow you to see the street names if you zoom in a little bit further. So here is Berryessa. It does look like it may have been split between these 2 districts.
Yep, yeah. It looks separated to me. And then, okay.
Go ahead.
And then the Penitentiary Neighborhood Association looks like it's in the B section based on this, since we're south of Berryessa Road. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
So this is Berryessa Road here. So it would be then in Area B. And this is Draft Plan C, which is sort of more of a minimal change with the existing lines. So if we wanted to look at, this is Plan B. And I understand the issue with the lettering, and we'll resolve that for the next meeting because it is fairly confusing. So in this plan, it looks like Berryessa is kept a little more whole. I don't know how far up it extends exactly. So this would be the same. So in this plan, it's area C. And in terms of penitentia, it does look like it is contained here as well in this area.
But that would be in, as we now know, District 5 and not 4, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in Plan B, it's a little bit more, it's more together.
Yeah, Berryessa is a little more together in Plan B.
Okay.
And then this is Plan A, and it does look split just off the top of my head right here between these two areas. Which does mean that I think penitentia probably remains whole within this particular district, but Berryessa is split here.
Okay. Well, I would advise the map makers to please keep in mind all the testimony that they got, especially a lot of testimony from the Berryessa area and the Penitencia area, because some of these plans don't seem to have taken any of that into account from what I see here. I'm very surprised this happened. You know, we don't have a lot of testimony. A lot of people did not go to these hearings, and yet this is what happens. What happened, and I know we have to try to even out population. And one of the maps I dreamed up was at like 105,000 or so, maybe 106. I was maybe 1,000 over, and I'm trying to keep all the rules in mind. So that's just my comment for now.
No, that's good feedback. This is the feedback, honestly, that we do need to hear in these pieces. So it is important.
It's a little disappointing considering all the testimony we had in this particular area and to see some of these drafts. So I said my piece. Thank you, though. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Diddleson?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I haven't had a whole lot of time to absorb everything, so I don't want to rush to judgment, but on first blush, the maps A and B just seem like complete non-starters. They're just completely, I mean, it's a complete rewrite. I mean, and it makes me inherently very uncomfortable. So I think I made a comment last time that we would try to be kind of surgical in our approach about this. And I think there's good reasons for that. And this is more like a sledgehammer. So I would like to pull up C again, which you referred to as a minimal change. I'm not exactly sure if that's the appropriate characterization, but again, I haven't had a lot of time to look at this closely yet. At first blush, it appeared, and I'm just going to speak for the district that I represent because that's what I know best, and I'll leave the other commissioners to really opine on their own districts, but I'm looking at the maps, and all three of them, I believe, excise North Willow Glen and Palm Haven from what was traditionally District 6. And I'm not exactly sure because the letters, what district is but, that's another really significant source of confusion. But, you know, there's a North Willow Glen. I happen to live in North Willow Glen, so this is why I know this. There's a North Willow Glen Neighbors Association. I mean, it's a very tight community, and it seems to be getting split off from the rest of Willow Glen, as is Palm Haven, which all historically have been considered to be part of Willow Glen and I think District 6. So that inherently concerns me. And so I just want to throw that out there that if we're going to be revising the maps, I think those areas should remain contiguous with the district that they're currently in. And there was some reference to Delmas Park, and I'm not familiar. I mean, I live right next to Delmas. There's Bybrick Park, which is on the other side of the trains. Maybe that's what they're referring to as Delmas Park, but somebody could clarify that for me? That would also be helpful since there was testimony about keeping that with downtown west.
If I recall, I could be wrong, and maybe I should refer to the testimony before saying this, but if I recall, the reason for keeping that area together was, I think that they have traffic issues related to the PayPal soccer stadium. And I'll try to look for the map that we received.
Yeah, and maybe I'm just not. I'm not familiar with where Delmas Park is. I mean, I obviously live right next to Delmas Avenue, but I'm just not sure what landmark they're referring to there. If somebody could maybe just give me a reference point about where that is, it may be completely different than what I'm thinking of.
Tony, I wonder if it would be helpful if you could share your screen to like Redistrictor for us to find that point.
Okay, so what do you want me to do on Redistrictor? Is to look for the drawings that somebody submitted?
I think
Just point out where Delmas Park is, whatever that's referring to, please.
Okay, let me see if I can find that. I don't know if I can search. Can I? Hold on. I might be, I'm trying to find it, but I don't know exactly where it's at. So what, do you know what neighborhood? Like if I zoom in.
I'm trying to find the map submission we got from the member of the public that was referencing this. I believe it was one of the handwritten ones we received.
I do have that pulled up if you'd like.
Okay. Thank you.
So here. Let me see if I can access what's written below here. Is that helpful?
Also trying to pull it up on the map.
I'll go back up to the top of the.
Highway 87, Street. Okay.
Shall I stop and then we could perhaps look at the draft map?
Yeah, no, I think that that does help. I'm just pulling up my other map, so now I see what they're referring to. Okay, all right, I understand.
I also found this for the Delmas Park Neighborhood Association.
Yeah, okay, that's perfect. Thank you.
Kimmy, is there a way for us to overlay each of these draft maps with the current district map to kind of get a better sense of what is changing in each draft map? Sorry, you're on mute.
Sorry. There is, one of our demographers I know is monitoring this call. So yes, he says he can do the overlay. So I think he's probably working on it right now.
Okay, so maybe while we wait for him, why don't we take public comment on this item? Do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on item 5?
Yes, Jeffrey Buchanan. I have 3 hands up, Jeffrey Buchanan, followed by Greg Ripa.
Members of the committee, Jeffrey Buchanan with Silicon Valley Rising Action. I share many of your concerns. These maps to see drafts come forward, dividing Berryessa, moving Penitencia Creek outside of our northernmost district, cutting up the Alum Rock business corridor. There's a host of concerns, and just both the timing of when these maps were released and the inaccessibility of being able to get them in formats where we can do things like look at overlaying the current district lines or overlaying information about neighborhood associations. It makes it really hard for the public to be able to have an active dialogue, and certainly for the commissioners to really have that kind of critical debate when we only have a couple of weeks before we have to come to some decisions. So certainly hope that the consultants take into account what they're hearing from the commissioners, and that we can put this information out to the public in a way where it's more accessible. Certainly, I understand the need, and I think there are other ways, from my understanding, to reach the reach the goals of having majority and plurality districts of Latinx and AAPI communities that don't involve such drastic reshaping of communities that I think, particularly when you think about the communities in District 5, District 8, and District 7, that do see commonalities. We haven't necessarily seen as many commoners come out from some of those communities, but I think if folks start to catch wind of these maps, you will start to hear more voices there. The divisions here just don't seem to make a lot of sense with many of these draft maps, so I hope we'll continue working to find some better representation that increases the voices of our Black, Latinx, and API residents going forward. Thanks so much.
Greg Ripa, followed by Gabriella. Greg, you're unmuted. Oh, we can't hear you.
Sorry.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about the future of the City Council district boundaries. My name is Greg and I live in Midtown San Jose. I appreciate the thought that went into creating these maps. However, I find they tend to look a little gerrymandered. They tend to split neighborhoods and divide some of these communities of interest, even the ones that may not be, have been submitted, because there are a lot of those out there that aren't necessarily submitted. For example, in Draft Plan A, downtown's divided into about 4 or 5 council districts, depending on how you define downtown. As another example, in Draft Plans B and C, Willow Glen split almost directly through downtown along Willow Street or along Bird Avenue, respectively. So for all 3 draft plans, I'd rather see more compact and less gerrymandered looking districts with potentially a little bit more population variance between the districts so that they look a little cleaner. Overall, I like elements of all 3 plans, but do feel there may be a better solution out there. So in that respect, I think I'll go ahead and maybe submit a couple ideas to the districtor, and then we can go from there in the interest of time. Thank you so much. Bye.
Gabriella.
Hi, my name is Gabriela Garcon Gupta. I am with the Asian Law Alliance, and I just wanted to basically request that this process be more public facing. For example, the timeline for map drafting, map submission, map finalization. It's not able to be found on the website, and other cities like Sunnyvale do have that pretty clear on their website. Also, to have this PowerPoint easily accessible on the website, since it is drafting maps for the city of San Jose, which a lot of people are invested in. So just making this overall pretty accessible. I also echo the concerns that some of the commission members had about the lettering being pretty difficult to understand and just interpret for the general public. So I just think maybe even a dedicated session going over these draft maps for the public would be wonderful. We've had people even asking it when it's a deadline to submit community of interest testimony, et cetera, et cetera. So I just think something that is more public facing makes the timeline really clear for the map finalization and the map drafting process, as well as putting those draft maps out there for the public would be fantastic. Thank you so much.
Back to the
Thank you for those comments. Kimmy, do we have any update on the overlays, or is that not going to be available today?
Sorry, muted. Chris Chiefy is on, and I believe that he can speak to that.
Great. Hi, Chris.
Yeah. Hello. So one of the things I can do is I can bring up, I have all the layers in Maptitude, so I can bring them up and show them and share my screen. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start with plan A? Do you
Why
want
don't we
to just
why
start
don't we go
with
in
C?
order? Why
Okay.
don't we start in order? Plan A, B, C.
Okay, let's see. So let me share my screen. So this is plan A. And the current lines are here, and I'm gonna make them very, it's a good color, pink. So here, I'm sorry, there's two plans on top of each other. So you can see here, let me turn on the district numbers. Okay. It's another color under. So I just want to make sure that only one map. So draft map A is on. And then basically, let's make the colors a little bit better. Sorry. Okay. So now the districts are colored. So this is map plan A. And you can see that the districts in that map are one color, and then this pink border are the current lines. And then I pulled up the current district number, so you can see if you want to reference that, because it seems like that's what you're most comfortable with. That's what's going on. Okay, that's better. So you can see Berryessa is split slightly. Also, I think the biggest issue is the east side. And under your current demographics, and because of the way the city's grown, there's the ability to draw 3 majority minority districts for the API community and 1 Latino district, which creates the changes in a lot of the underlying changes on the east side, which creates kind of a ripple effect as we move through the city. So that's one reason why the Berryessa neighborhood is split somewhat out of 4 into 2 different districts, because of, if you allow me, I can show you the API and Latino 50+ census blocks and where they are in the city. You can see there's a high concentration in the Berryessa neighborhood, And this is the area where to basically create two API seats, one in the north and one kind of farther to the south, you need the population to balance both those districts and make those possible. That's why a lot of the plans split Berryessa slightly. Maybe. So is there any area of the map that people want to focus on, or
Okay, I see a few hands raised. Commissioner Alvarez? I think we lost her. I'll come back to you, Commissioner Alvarez. Commissioner Wright, did you have your hand raised?
Yes, I did. Thank you so much. I would say that there are also concerns for the southern portion of the city as well, what's known as districts 2, 10, as well as 9, because I would just, it appears with how the map is that Almaden is being split in 2. So I would recommend keeping it whole if at all possible. So those are my comments for now until I have an opportunity to take a deeper dive into the maps that we have before us.
Commissioner Alvarez?
Yes. Looking at the east side, there's essentially only one D that gives any possibility for a Latino to be able to have an elected seat. It's all across the east side is Asian. There's no, I mean, that's a lot. That's I know that's the way that it's falling in some cases, but yeah, the east side is predominantly Asian. You've got C that has a possibility of a split. That's C and D, that would be because they have at least an opportunity because they have more Latinos, percentage of Latinos in D. Anyway, that's my comment.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes, dare I make this request? Is it possible to get any of these kinds of maps on paper?
What would you like each of the versions in paper with?
Well, it'd only be 3, right? There'd just be A imposed on the current districts, and then A imposed, and then B, and then C.
Okay. Yeah.
Or something, because it's hard for me. Like, even if I wanted to study these, I'm on my computer now for the meeting, and I can't pull any of this up unless I have a second computer. It's just hard for me to deal with all this information when everything's electronic and you have to scroll and everything. So if we had some paper versions of some of this, it would help me out anyway.
Okay.
I'm hoping it will help others out, and I'm not the only one. No, I don't think you're alone. And I think the hard part is the way that the HTML version that we have of these draft plans, it's just really hard to like play with the data or try to move things around on our own. And so I'm wondering if Chris or Kimmy can maybe suggest.
We can put these on Districtor so that you could bring up the plans and then create your own from them if you're interested, or you could bring up the current lines as like a boundary layer.
Okay.
Would that be helpful?
I think that would be very helpful, in addition to having a printable version. And when would we be available to access that?
I think Districtor we could probably get up by end of day tomorrow. with paper maps, it might be over the weekend or Monday, but we can try as soon as we can with the paper maps.
Okay, Commissioner Diddleson?
Yeah, I just want to clarify something. So are A, B, and C that we come up with tonight, are these basically the only options we have to tinker with? Because what I heard is that the trying to achieve these minority populations primarily on the east side is now rippling out and causing splits amongst all of these other districts. So is there no other way to accomplish compliance with the federal law without creating these massive splits in what have been long-standing districts and what are long-standing for a variety of good reasons, depending on what district you're in?
One of the things that we try to do as a redistricting firm is ensure that the majority minority seats are drawn if it's possible to do so. And we found that they were possible to draw. We'd look to county council to get further recommendations on the east side lines. We can also produce additional maps. I think that's one of the things that we need to talk through tonight. And I think there's been great comments about making these maps better and looking at, like, I've written a lot of notes, like Berryessa, Penitencia, Willow Glen, Palm Haven, and like both North and South Willow Glen, the Delmas Park area, a public commenter on the Alum Rock Business Corridor, and then of course in the South, Almaden. So I think we can try to work on doing all of those things in a map 4, a plan 4. But we also need to think through the compliance with the Federal Voting Rights Act.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, that seems to be the driving force, and for good reason. But I mean, I would definitely encourage you guys to talk with whatever county or city council you need to talk with, because I mean, it's a law of unintended consequences. It seems like while you're trying to comply, and there's the reason why the law was passed. In actuality, it seems like from some of the comments from the other commissioners, even the east side populations are being disrupted in a way that they're not totally thrilled about. So I think we need to kind of maybe take a step back to take a couple steps forward here, so that, what things need to move around. Obviously, based on the census data, this is just kind of a little bit haphazard at this point. Thanks.
And just to kind of piggyback on Commissioner Dittleson's question, as a commission, we can, vote to scrap some of these drafts and start anew tonight, or make recommendations for changes, correct?
Of course. This is really like a work in progress. These are truly drafts. There's nothing final about any of them. One of the reasons the deviations are such is to provide abilities for the districts to grow and shrink based on comments from the commission. I think the other thing to take into consideration is that these are truly drafts, and one of the hard parts we've had is that we haven't had there hasn't been a lot of comment about certain parts of the city, and so it was really hard to take community input into consideration for those first plans, A and B, where we were really trying to look to community of interest testimony, and there just were parts that just weren't covered. So I think it would be great if people who feel like the parts of the city aren't represented well in maybe all of the plans, if you can talk through the neighborhoods that you really think are kind of the cores of districts that must be, as much as possible, of course, conserved and created in the next in Plan D, I guess, so that we can really have good direction from you on what you want to see next.
Commissioner Sidbury?
Just a comment. To be honest with you, I'm a little confused, but I'm just hoping that there's going to be an opportunity for us to revisit this. Because the way it's being presented tonight, I'm finding that it's kind of difficult me to follow. You know, you have some groups that are overlapping other groups, and I thought the main purpose of this commission, once we got the data back in from the state as far as the population of each district, it was to make sure there was no advantage or a I guess an advantage over any other group. But it seems like to me, you know, you come out tonight and you got District A, and I'm trying to figure out what was District A, because on your draft here I can barely see it, and so I'm just hoping that we have an opportunity to revisit this before we actually make our final decision on this thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wright.
Something else that would be helpful is to keep into account the neighborhood associations so that they are being kept whole within the districts as well. Thank you.
Yes, I echo a lot of the concerns that have been raised as far as, you know, as I think about how we move forward, I don't feel comfortable really moving forward with any of these drafts, just because we haven't had enough time with them to really understand what all these changes are, and B, I feel like we don't have like for me, it would be helpful to have just a baseline map, just purely based on population without any other considerations. And I was hoping that would be an option for us as well today. So I'm struggling a little bit with how we can be productive with the rest of the time that we have together today, and whether it makes sense just to offer our comments and suggestions to redistricting partners and request updates to these maps based on our concerns and comments. Commissioner Diddle-Wilson, is your hand raised?
Yeah, it is. No, I mean, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I think the closest thing, if we were going to use something as a launching off point for the next round of revisions, maybe you use something like C, but even that, you know, like you said, we haven't had a lot of time to study it. It's just a minimal change. That's the only reason I'm a little bit more comfortable with it. But it seems like perhaps it'd be best to just let redistricting partners take the comments that they've heard today and kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit, and with the aim of try to get us 2 or 3 more maps based on the comments by maybe Tuesday evening next week. So we've got at least 24 hours to absorb whatever it is they come up with next, and as does the community and the public, so that we can all kind of wrap our heads around it before we walk into the meeting, and hopefully we can make a little more progress. That would be my suggestion on how to proceed.
Great. I think I saw a lot of nodding of the heads, yes. So Commissioner Wright?
Yes, I was just going to concur with my fellow commissioner's suggestion. So I don't know if it would be time to make a motion in that regard.
I will invite a motion based on Commissioner Diddleson's comments and suggestions?
Hi, this is Tony, City Clerk. I also have a suggestion that perhaps each of you could go onto District R and sort of draw your district that you're representing, or a district that you're familiar with that maybe you're not representing. We do have one district right now that has a vacancy, District 3. Because I think it would be really helpful if you went into District R and sort of gave us what you think your district should look like, or at least like what neighborhoods you want to keep together. Like here are the neighborhoods I think should stay together. I think that could really help as well.
And if you guys want us to make changes to Plan C, I'm just wondering if it would be good to look at the differences between the current districts and District C and option C.
Commissioner Wright?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. I appreciate your comments, Chris. I think what we've been saying is not necessarily go back to the drawing board, but it would be helpful if, as a baseline, you have the current districts, but then, as one of my fellow commissioners had suggested, adjust by population numbers, because we do recognize that they have to be more or less similar in size. And we did see quite a few discrepancies based on the latest census data. So that would be my feedback, because from what I've heard, from my fellow commissioners, as well as from those who spoke this evening, from members of the public, that none of these maps seem to be generating what we are hoping to achieve, and also keeping in mind federal guidelines in this regard.
Okay, before we vote on the motion, I'm going to backtrack and open up this session to public comment. If there are any members of the public who wish to speak, please raise your hand. Do we have any?
Yeah, I have a couple hands. I'm assuming we're letting people speak a couple of times. So people who previously spoke, we're going to let speak again, because I know this is important to hear from people. So Tam Nguyen is first, followed by Jeffrey Buchanan.
Good evening, Chair and dear respected members of the Commission. My name is Tam Nguyen. I have lived in San Jose continuously for the past 42 years and have actively engaged in the Vietnamese American community in San Jose. Today I speak as a concerned resident, and especially is on behalf of the Vivo Community Foundation, a nonprofit agency that has been providing great service to the local community for the past 35 years. In the past couple months, Vivo staff has conducted many community outreaches via many media forums, including printed material, radio, and social media. Especially, we have organized 4 webinars meetings that attracted a total more than 100 participants in total. The topic of redistricting is important. First, the good news is the great majority of the community point of interest was well within the existing boundary of San Jose District 4, 7, and 8. So they do not face any threat of being cut off or left out. The community members have identified several locations. Most of them are in District 7 and District 8 and 4, and some in 4. The big boundaries are in the north are Story Road, where the Little Saigon is. On the west is Monterey Road. On the east, King Road, and the south is the marina near Center Meet Monterey Road. There's about 14 of them. I will provide the entire list to the commission. But basically, you can tell the Little Saigon district on Vietnamtown is a main key point of interest. So the members of the community also raised one interesting issue. They would like the commission to redraw the boundary in such a way that will include more Vietnamese American voters, so that in the future, we will be able to elect a Vietnamese American into the councilman, which is now we have more than 100,000 members, but we don't have any councilman representative. So again, thank you so much for your hard work and on these important issues, and give me the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Vivo and community members. I have included some maps of we work, and also this transcript of this testimony to the commission later on. Thank you very much.
Jeffrey Buchanan.
Thank you, members of the commission. You know, I think the comments from the commission, I definitely agree with right now. The kind of drastic cuts that we're seeing in an effort to, while it's certainly it's important to try to look to how do we increase the number of minority or majority minority districts. But I think it's important to remember, you know, in the city, you know, with current lines and the 2020 census, we had the two majority minority Asian districts and the one majority minority Hispanic district. But we also had, you know, districts like District 7 where you had two strong pluralities. Well, you had basically a, you know, within one percentage point difference between Hispanic and non-Hispanic Asian in terms of what is it, like a 44 and 43% split. And so, you know, while not a pure majority minority district, you had in that district, you know, 80% of our two largest minority populations representing the electorate. And so would certainly encourage the commission and redistricting partners to look at solutions where perhaps we keep our three existing majority minority districts and look to perhaps to strengthen some of those existing pluralities that are out there in terms of the strong pluralities that we see amongst the API and Latinx population. I think we could do that while still maintaining more of the kind of traditional groupings of neighborhoods that have more commonalities. So we're not doing things like stretching all the way from the far end of Alum Rock down to San Jose State University, where you end up with, you know, populations that, you know, may be demographically connected, but I don't think they consider themselves to be in community with each other in the same way, other than being in San Jose generally, I should say. Yeah.
Blair Beekman.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Thanks for the meeting tonight. I was attending the VTA meeting, so I missed most of your meeting, but I will review it. And just thank you for having the meeting tonight. And I just wanted to say hi. So thank you for the meeting.
Back to the chair.
All right, thank you for your comments. Commissioner Alvarez, I see you have your hand raised. Commissioner Alvarez, you're on mute. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay. I strongly suggest that we avoid the lettering on the other maps that are going to be drafts and just use the district numbers. That will make it so much easier than to have all these different letters for different for each of the different maps. Just use the numbers, our district numbers, so we can see where they lay. I think that would help me. For me, it would be very helpful taking a look at where they all sit as they change with the drafts that we're going to be presenting next time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Sidbury?
She just took the words right out of my mouth. I agree. We should go back to the numbers versus letters. Yes, I agree with that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And we had a motion pending. I will not do Commissioner Diddleson's suggestion justice, but essentially it would be for redistricting partners to take our comments and suggestions today to provide us with revised draft maps that refer to districts by number and are accessible through Redistrictor and paper form by next Tuesday. Can I get a second?
I second.
Can the clerk take a vote?
Yes, Linka Wright,
Aye.
PJ Fatum,
Aye.
Sylvia Alvarez,
Aye.
Freddie Sidbury.
Aye.
Oh, sorry, I didn't catch your vote there. Did you say aye?
Yes, aye.
Thank you. Andrew Ditlevson,
Aye.
Enadina Cardenas,
Aye.
Gloria Collins.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Okay, thank you. So Chris and Kimmy, we look forward to seeing those revised maps and look forward to another discussion and presentation next week. Next item 6, old business. There is none, so we'll move on. Item 7, new business. We have a new business item for discussion on communities of interest, public hearings, and outreach. Tony, I believe this is a placeholder for any public testimony. Is that correct?
Yeah, this was in case anybody had communities of interest testimony they wanted to do while we're still drafting. Our next meeting, I'll be removing this topic and everything will just be under draft map discussion.
Okay, so if there are any members of the public who wish to make a public testimony on communities of interest, please raise your hand and you will be called.
There are no hands.
Okay, moving on to item 8, public comment, open forum. This is the time for public comment on items that are not on the agenda. The Brown Act prohibits the commission from discussing any item that is not agendized. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes. And the clerk, please call on any speakers.
Gabriela Garzon Gupta.
Hi, this is Gabriela Garson Gupta again. I'm with the Asian Law Alliance. I just wanted to again reiterate the need to make this a public process. So again, just making sure that we do get those dates on the website for when this draft map is happening. And I think also just another thing I didn't mention earlier was just an explanation of the census data. Other cities have done this as well, explaining where growths are happening. And I think this would be really helpful for the public because I think a lot of times census data is very inaccessible. And people have asked us where the growths are happening, where the AAPI population is growing, especially since we do serve primarily API folks. But I think even for our other minorities as well. So just an explanation of the census data and a walkthrough of why the maps were chosen would be really great. Like the presentation today was really fast and it was honestly a little bit hard to follow. And the explanation for why it was drawn the way it was not given. So those are basically just the comments I had to say. So then again, just making it a public facing process. And if there are going to be draft maps that are going to be given in the future, just an explanation of the process and the logic behind it for the public. Thank you.
Blair Beekman.
Hi, thanks for the meeting tonight. Thanks for your work, Blair Beekman here. Thanks for your work on, we're trying to practice our good democracy at this time. I attend city charter meetings sometimes, and we're all aware that they've shifted the mayor election to 2024. And that's interesting. They've also been working on how the future of the election process itself can work in the future, which is nice of them. It's smart of them. They're figuring out ways to invite more people who couldn't be a part of the electoral process in the past. How can they be a part of it in the future? And that's an interesting concept to consider. And I just wanted to remind yourselves of the good practices of democracy we're working towards, and it's hopeful. And in these difficult times, you know, there are things that are hopeful that we can work towards. You know, my work with accountability with technology, that can very much ask our local governments to address technology issues openly with their community. So it's a combination of things that I think we're actually going to be building a future country, a better oversight with community involvement. And that's an interesting concept. And it's these redistricting ideas and how we practice election ideas that will lead the way to do that. So thank you for your efforts and good luck in the work of equity and reimagine. Thanks a lot.
Before I go to the next speaker, I just want to note that any recommendations suggested by the Charter Review Commission are not implemented and they will be going to council. I don't want people to get the impression that the mayoral election has moved. It has not. It needs to go to council. Jeffrey Buchanan.
Yeah, just it'd be helpful for the next round of these updates. Again, I think a lot of us are probably new to redistricting. To have, there was numbers mentioned in terms of the total deviation, and maybe I'm just not smart enough. I'm struggling to kind of recreate the numbers that were of how you sum up the positives and negatives to get to a total deviation. I think there was a number of aiming to get to 17.1, and then some numbers mentioned for the different maps. It might help to just have for the future iterations of the maps the sums of those deviations, and it'd be great if there was some way to get pointed to how one actually adds up the positives and negatives to get to the numbers that were referenced. Maybe I'm just missing something there. Thank you so much.
Back to the chair.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item, 9, meeting schedule and agenda items. The next meeting will be next Thursday, October 14th, 2021 at 7 o'clock p.m. by Zoom again. Before we adjourn, I just wanted to seek input from the commissioners if there were any items that you would like to add or wish to see on the agenda for next week's session. Okay, seeing no hands, I will go ahead and adjourn. This meeting of the Redistricting Commission is now adjourned. Good evening, everybody, and we'll look forward to another productive session next week. Have a good evening.
Thank you.